Hi, when I'm thinking about putting a YouTube film together, there's two things I need early on. First of all, I need a subject, but I also need a storyline, something to hang the pictures on that I'm going to take onto some sort of story. And there are occasions when I go out and I get a picture, but I think, well, what's my story? I've just turned up, took a picture. It's too easy. There's other occasions when I go out and I think this is a very nice storyline. I'll start to film this as I go, and I film myself talking to camera, but I don't end up with enough successful pictures to make it into an interesting YouTube film. So what I'm going to do today is a sort of composite of various pictures I've taken over a certain period of time, most of them in the last year, and just the one storyline I started to film where I didn't get enough pictures, and if I put them all together I get another YouTube film. So we're starting off very close to home. This is my local park. I could actually walk to this park. I don't, I take the car. But this is early in the morning and an incredibly cute mallard family. The mother came to join them and to brood them. And while all this was going on, just down the bank there was a tawny owl sitting right out in the open. Now you don't get to see this very often. Again, it helps you there early in the morning before it gets disturbed, because it will by all the people walking by. There's also quite a colony of terrapins, and I can't make up my mind which species this is. And another few metres down the bank, a coot's nest. You can see it's raining, it's a drizzly morning, and there's a bit of rubbish in the nest too. The birds will use anything to build their nests. And without going very far, this bird is able to find food for its youngster, keeps picking up things. This rather cute rabbit grooming itself in slow motion, but I like the colours in the picture too. The green of the grass and the blue of the sky all gives it some impact. But on the whole, I find rabbits quite difficult to photograph because they're normally just grazing and they don't do very much. But at least here I've got a low angle. I'm down on the floor, and that always adds impact to the picture too. But this is in another local park, and I was quite enjoying this. There was a lot of young rabbits, and they were being disturbed by the dog walkers as they went past, and so I started to try to make use of it. When I could see a dog or a person with a dog approaching, I know the rabbit's going to run. So I've got an advantage on ready. I'm going to do it in slow motion video. The rabbit is in focus when I start, so I stand a very good chance of keeping it in focus, even though you have to do this manually when you're shooting in slow motion. And it just gave the rabbit some movement, actually doing something rather than just sitting there and eating grass. And another country park. Rabbits don't just eat grass, they eat leaves as well. So you've got to stretch a bit to do that. This is at Bempton Cliffs at the Visitor Centre. Now most people go to Bempton Cliffs to photograph gannets and the auks. I always put a bit of time into the tree sparrows. It's a nice red roof, sets them off well. And around the car park, sometimes they're sitting on the fences. These are 3 very young birds, cuddling up to keep warm. And now I'll show you a bit of footage where I got a storyline, but I didn't get too many pictures. It's a fairly unique situation this. You've got an old airfield that you are allowed to drive over. There are some air activities. There's a model flying club, they're here today, and there's also some of these paragliders, and they're taking off just down here, so I'm keeping away from them, but otherwise you can drive over the old runways. They're quite knocked about, there's lots of old buildings, and it's a good place for waders, and some unusual waders turn up here as well. And I think it's just about every year they get petrel sandpiper here, which was here yesterday, but I haven't seen it today. I've come across some ring plovers and some wheatears so far. And this is a juvenile ring plover, this year's bird. This is what the adult looks like. And I don't mind if the birds come off the grass onto the runway, because it's all very rugged looking. You can't tell that that's a runway. Often when you're looking for birds, it's not so much the birds you look for as the bird watchers. It's such a popular hobby today that if there's a petrel sandpiper here, you'd expect to see 2 or 3 cars around it as people trying to photograph it. And that car over there has just gone past me. He's been here since I got here, but I haven't seen him with a pair of binoculars yet. Another thing I like about this site is there's lots of humps around the airfield, and if you can get the birds on top of the hump, that separates them from the background. This is a dunlin. Now you can't see his legs there, you want him to come right on the top, but I prefer him on the top of there to in the grass, especially when doing stills photography. Doesn't look so bad when you're doing video and the bird is moving. The other car that I mentioned that I thought might be a bird watcher was a bird watcher. He's just pulled up next to me and we've just exchanged what little information we both have, which is its ring plover and dunlin and a wheatear. But he hasn't seen the petrel sandpiper. It was here yesterday, and he feels that it attracts more waders here when it's wet, and now it's nice and sunny, the birds tend to move on. We'll just look at a few of the stills pictures I took. Everything is taken with the OM1 Mark II, the 150 to 400mm lens. The wheatear I kept seeing was not very confiding. You couldn't really get close enough to it. A kestrel just hovering above. But this is a different kestrel. This one is quite well known. His name is Kevin, and he lives at the Brockholes Nature Reserve in Lancashire. And Kevin has become as well known as Colin the Cuckoo. And there's quite a few YouTube films that people have done on this bird. Like Colin the Cuckoo, he's not reliable. Some days you go and you don't see him, but he's quite frequent. These are all taken with Pro Capture now as the bird takes off, 50 frames per second, and very difficult not to get a sharp flight shot. But he spends a lot of the time sitting around on the various fence posts, but I wanted him down by the water to get some reflections. This brown hare was at the same location in the car park very early in the morning, no people about. I saw it at the far end. Immediately I lay down on the floor, and as it ran towards me, the autofocus kept every shot sharp. Very impressive, and I like it best when all 4 feet are off the floor at the same time. And if I wasn't telling you this is in a car park and the hare is on tarmac, I'm not sure that you would guess what the surface was. And I'll finish off with a sequence of pictures of red deer against the skyline. Now again, I don't feel I can get a YouTube film out of this because all the pictures are very similar. They're all silhouettes against a nice sky. There's not enough variety of pictures to get a complete 10-minute YouTube film out of it. But I did very much enjoy doing it, and it's a rare opportunity to get them on the top of a ridge against the sky. Now the other thing you could do is go to the white balance settings in your camera. So this is the OM1 Mark II. We go to the basic settings, and then on page 2 come down to white balance. Normally I'm shooting white balance auto, but on this occasion I could have changed it, and I could change it to any of these options, but let's just look at cloudy. If you set your white balance to cloudy, you'll get totally different colours in your picture, but this is doing it in the camera. Because I shoot RAW, I can do it in the RAW processing retrospectively. That is the advantage of shooting RAW. So this first picture, this is just auto white balance, and then this one is cloudy, and it's just made the sky more colourful. Same here, auto white balance, and then change it to cloudy. But it doesn't work well with every picture. This next one I think goes over the top, so that's auto white balance, and that's gone a bit too orange for me in cloudy mode, but there's other options too you can try. Of course these days it's easy enough in software to change the sky completely. It's just not really my thing. I'm an outdoor person. Spending too much time on the computer doesn't suit me. My favourite pictures were definitely these 2 stags chasing each other along. Thanks for watching.